love, learning's a home. You get the education for all. Gyanvani, Gyanvani, education at your doorstep. It's only Gyanvani.
Hi and welcome on the show. Your radio sets are tuned into Gyanvani 107.4 FM. Hello, I'm Rashi, and this time all set to take you to the world of a spiritual enthusiasm. The most perfect classical Indian dance form, Odissi, the dance divine and its tradition. Odissi, also called the dance of gods, is the intrinsically passionate style of dance that grew from the traditional temple dance. It has charm, grace, lyricism and sensuousness. In the words of the noted Hungarian Indologist Charles Fabry, it is the most perfect Indian classical dance form. Classical dance is understood to be the synthesis of body and mind because it merges physical energy with emotional and spiritual enthusiasm. India has had many forms of classical dance which have flourished, declined under foreign influences and been revitalized. Indian philosophy suggests that the realm of living and that of divine are one in essence, and one way to affirm the underlying unity of the two is through dance. Lord Shiva of the Hindu trinity of gods is also called Nataraj, or the Lord of Dance. The presence of Odissi dance in terms of archaeological evidence was found in the cave sculptures in the hills near Bhubaneswar in Odisha, dating back to the 1st century BC. There have been vast changes in its physical form and its role in religion and society from one century to another. Its style and character have alternated under the influence of various religions and dynasties. All this has given Odissi its distinct and sacred character, blending sanctity with beauty and art with religion. Odissi, the dance divine, is a chronological survey of the form and style of the dance. The art form today, known as Odissi, is the descendant of the temple dance that evolved in the Jagannath temple in Puri. Revered as one of the holiest places, the temple was the center of culture, religion and artistic traditions. In the inner sanctum of this shrine was born the dance of the Mahari or temple dancer, which became a tradition and finds expression in the Geet Govind that presents Odissi dance as a niti or lifestyle. The program explores the aesthetics of the dance, which is a living tradition till today. Though the origin of Indian classical dance is widely understood and accepted in mythological terms, the first historical and archaeological evidence of Odissi dance was found in the cave sculptures of the Udaigiri and Khandagiri hills near Bhubaneswar in Odisha. Built around the 1st century BC by the Jain king Kharavela, the caves are engraved with inscriptions and the sculptures that prove the significance of the arts in the lives of the people of Kalinga, the ancient name of Orissa. King Kharavela is known and remembered for being an extremely wealthy and successful ruler, a devout Jain and a great patron of the arts. The Rani Gufa, the Queen's Cave, is adorned with a multitude of panels and sculptures that celebrate the artistic lifestyle of King Kharavela's times. Numerous musicians and beautiful dancers in different poses are found in these images. The most famous of which is the sculpture of the dancer known as the Nartaki. The Nartaki, in its vigorous and proud stance, bears a remarkable resemblance to a posture from the contemporary dance form. For the Odissi dancers of today, the Nartaki has become a landmark of the ancient and contemporary continuum of Odissi. It marks the historical evolution of one of the world's most beautiful dance traditions, Odissi. After King Kharavela's death, no clear picture of Oriya history emerges. Although little is known about the history of dance until approximately the 7th century AD, there is evidence to indicate that Kalinga did indeed remain a vibrant and important cultural, artistic and religious center. Buddhism, which flourished initially under the golden rule of Ashoka before the time of Kharavela, reasserted itself in Kalinga in the 3rd century AD in its Mahayana form. Mahayana Buddhism is believed to have been aesthetically a very sensitive religion that regarded artistic expression as not merely a profession, but a path towards truth and self-realization, both for the maker and the spectator. The art of dance, far from forbidden, was celebrated as a means of deliverance and an act of a spiritual awareness. After the fall of the Buddhist kingdoms, the advent of Shaivism forced the followers of Mahayana Buddhism to strive for royal patronage. Though it is unclear how and when Shaivism first entered Orissa, but by the 4th century AD, there was evidence to prove the existence of the faith and the religious significance of dance to Shaivites. A clearer picture of Shaivite history emerges with the rise of the Selodabhava dynasty in the 7th century. The Selodabhava kings united a large part of ancient Orissa. The era was characterized by a sound system of administration, a sincere tolerance of all religions, a rich tradition of art and culture, and the construction of innumerable temples dedicated to Lord Shiva. Sculptures of dancing girls and images of the dancing Shiva called Nataraja can be seen in the earliest of the surviving temples of this period, including Mukteshwar, Parashurameshwara and other temples. These sculptures and the magnificent temples on which they are carved corroborate the glorification of Shaivism, fostering a tradition of artistic excellence in architecture, sculpture and dance that was inspired by the cosmic dancer himself. Shaivism permeated the cultural fabric of Orissa so deeply that it became a key factor in the shaping of the region's history. In the 10th century AD, the Kesari dynasty had established Shaivism as the single dominant faith. The religion of the royalty gradually became the accepted faith of the people. Shiva worship and the construction of temples dedicated to Lord Shiva took center stage. The Kesari temples portrayed various sculptures of dancing gods and humans that indicate the continuation of the Shaivite dancing tradition. But in addition to the sculptural evidence of the dance form, it is believed that the Kesari era was the first to have inscriptional records of a Devadasi, literally a servant of God dancing tradition. The Devadasis were temple servants whose sole duty was to dance at rituals and ceremonies associated with the temple and for the deity within. The earliest record of the Devadasi tradition in Orissa dates back to the time of the construction of the Brahmeshwar temple by Udyot Kesari, the last king of the Kesari dynasty. The Kesari rule eventually ended sometime in the early 11th century. The Brahmeshwar temple inscription is a landmark in the history of Odissi dance, as it chronicles the birth of the temple dancing tradition that would gradually evolve into the Odissi dance of today. In its first 1,000 years of existence, the history of the dance tradition of Orissa was synonymous with the political and religious history of the region. From the tolerance and aesthetic awareness of Buddhists to the yogini dancers of tantric cults to the glory of Shaivite temple dancing girls, the dance tradition metamorphosed in its physical technique and religious association during each stage of Orissa's early history. Though the Kesari era is celebrated as having established many of the fundamental elements of dance in Orissa, it was not until the Kesari dynasty faded away that the Odissi dance that exists today began to emerge. When the vacuum created by the decline of the Kesaris was finally filled by the imperial Gangas in the early 11th century, Orissa witnessed the birth of a new religious creed that permanently altered the history of the region. Vaishnavism, celebrated for the devotion to Lord Vishnu, their construction of the monumental temple of Jagannath at Puri and the Sun Temple at Konark, and their patronage of the Devadasi dance tradition. The Ganga dynasty revolutionized the entire cultural pattern of Orissa. Its studies of art and architecture after the Kharavela period is strengthened the fact that dance formed a significant theme and essence of Oriya temples. Dance, which is believed to have first appeared during King Kharavela's rule of ancient Orissa around the 1st century BC, experienced immense changes in its physical form, its spiritual character, and its role in society and religion. The character of this divine dance form alternated with Jainism, Buddhism, Shaivism, and Vaishnavism, religions that were dominant at one time or another with the changing dynasties of Kalinga. The encouraging influence of all these religions gave the tradition of dance a distinct sacred character, blending sanctity with beauty and art with religion in a humble search for the path to moksha or salvation. The vast treasure of the literature of Orissa relating to Odissi refers to the strength and purity, richness in tradition and authenticity of the art form. The ancient Natya Shastra, Abhinay Darpan and Sharan Deva Sangeeta Ratnakar have been the resources for various treatises related to the dance tradition of Orissa written at different periods. The unique features and techniques of Odissi are preserved and recorded in several manuscripts. They mention the style and the movement in dance, describe its ragas, talas, its instruments, and give detailed descriptions of the costume, ornaments, and makeup which are still in practice. Most of the literature is in Sanskrit, written in Oriya script, and is at least 300 years old. It was written on palm leaves and paper, and most of them were illustrated. Of particular importance are the Abhinay Darpan Prakasha by Yadunath Singha and the Abhinay Chandrika by Maheshwara Mahapatra. Apart from these, there are innumerable palm leaf manuscripts pertaining to dance and music as practiced in different periods in Orissa. Some of them have already been printed. These manuscripts are Natya Manorama, Sangeeta Narayana, Sangeeta Kalpalata, Sangeet Sarani, Sangeeta Parijata, and Geeta Prakash. These texts are all based on the writings of sages like Bharat, Nandikeshwar, Sarandev, Kohala, Matang, and Narad. While quoting profusely the ancient masters, Oriya authors have also tried to incorporate the element of the regional technique. The Natya Shastra of Bharat Muni, a 2000-year-old Sanskrit text, is the fundamental treatise on the performing arts in India. Theatre, music, and Indian classical dance have their roots in the Natya Shastra, which provides a blueprint for India's performing arts prevalent today.
Bharat Muni
Contends how the art of dance has two aspects, Tandava and Lasya. Tandava is the masculine or vigorous dance, whereas Lasya is the feminine or soft form of the dance. The Indian dance forms are often categorized as either Lokadharmi or Natyadharmi. The simple and down-to-earth dance forms, example folk dances, come under Lokadharmi, while those that are formal, contrived and defined by rules and principles belong to the Natyadharmi tradition. Odissi is Natyadharmi owing to its profundity and the influence of the scriptures. The Natya Shastra and later Abhinay Darpan deal exhaustively with all aspects of the art of dance, particularly the technique. In contrast, classical dance is divided into Nritya or Nritta. Nritta is a pure dance and the movements are performed for the sake of their own beauty and for the joy of dance. Nritta has two major constituents, Tal or the time measure and Lay or the rhythm. Nritya is expressional or interpretative dance and its purpose is to convey a concept, theme or idea of Sahitya. Abhinay can be translated as the transmission of expression, and it is also covered extensively in the Natya Shastra. In Nritya, Abhinay is expressed through an elaborate system of facial expressions, postures of the body, hand gestures, and foot movement to convey the meaning of the story or the idea to the audience. There are 4 forms of Abhinay which are blended in order to convey and project the expression to the audience, namely Angika, the movement and gestures of the body, which include facial expression, movements of each part of the body, particularly hand movements, Vachika, voice and speech in the form of song or poetry, Sattavika, play and interplay of moods, emotions and sentiments,
Aharya
dress, adornment and makeup. All 4 types of Abhinay are represented in Odissi. In Odissi, Abhinay is pure demonstration of an emotion contained in a song or lyric. Odissi stands out because of its distinctive and demure style of Abhinay. The Geet Govind forms the basis for one of the most important aspects of Odissi, in which the song becomes a poem in action. The tradition of songs, as we know it today in Orissa, perhaps began in the 12th century with the well-known Ashtapadis of Jayadev. The Sanskrit songs of the Geet Govind are in direct ancestral line of songs and musical poetry in Orissa. The talas and ragas are the same, so is the theme, and so the tendency to ornateness through assonances and alliterations. In medieval Oriya literature, the composers fix the tal and rag of each song as in those of the Geet Govind. This has greatly helped maintain the purity of the style and continuance of the tradition. The Geet Govind compositions are set in a slow tempo and the dancer gets complete scope to depict the emotion by gestures, glances and softer movements to reveal the entire meaning of the composition. The dancer, while portraying the bhav, brings out the myriad nuances of the Nayak-Nayika concept of Hindu erotic psychology. Next to the Sringara Ras, the songs used in this item deal with devotion or bhakti rasa. The Dasavatara composition of the Geet Govind is also one of the most popular pieces. The Oriya songs are mostly medieval compositions of a large number of Vaishnavite poets, and the theme obviously pertains to the relationship of Radha and Krishna. Among the composers, 3 dominate the field: Kavi Surya, Baladeva Ratha, Gopal Krishna Patnayak and
Vanmali.
While Kavi Surya is considered the most musical, Gopi Krishna the most poetic and
Vanmali
the most Devotional. The Bhavaras theory, given great importance in the Natya Shastra, is the heart of Indian classical dance, especially in the context of Odissi. Bhav can be explained as emotion. The literal meaning of rasa is juice, taste, flavor and sweetness. Rasa creates the mood of a performance. The bhav and rasa of a skilled and talented dancer set the ambience of the performance and lead the audience to the idea or theme being conveyed by the dancer. Bhava and rasa together move and stir the audience and impart aesthetic enjoyment. The 9 rasas identified in the Natya Shastra are love, valor, compassion, wonder, repulsion, laughter, fear, anger, tranquility. These rasas are not ordinary or transitory emotions, but are universalized to reveal what is common in everyone's experience. A shloka of the Natya Shastra states, "Where the hand goes, the eyes follow. Where the eyes go, the mind follows, and thus bhava is created and rasa will be born." And creating and transmitting the rasa to the audience is the ultimate aim of any dancer. Odissi reflects the iconography of Orissa, as in the sculpturesque Tribhangi, a 3-bend posture, one of the most common in Odissi. There are numerous sculptures in the temples of Orissa in Tribhangi position. Tribhangi is a feminine posture and, as the name suggests, depicts 3 bends in the body. The other most commonly executed posture of Odissi is the chau, considered to be the position of Lord Jagannath, who is the all-pervading inspiration of the dance and of Orissa. Subtle deflection of the hip is characteristic of Odissi. Movements are sometimes sharp but mostly soft and lyrical. Many of the movements are in a half-sitting position, giving a sensuous touch. The numerous postures and styles portray specific moods. It is primarily a lasya, that is feminine dance, although some elements of tandava, masculine, form part of its technique. It is primarily a lasya, that is feminine dance, although some elements of tandava, masculine, form part of its technique. This vigorous tandava element is probably due to the influence of the Shaivite school of dancing. Female figures in tandava attitude can be seen in the temples of Mukteshwar and Jagannath. During this period of its rediscovery, the performance of Odissi consisted of one continuous piece of blended items lasting about 15 to 20 minutes, which began with an invocation, Bhumi Pranam, and lead into Batu, Pallavi, Abhinay, and ended with Moksha, which was pure dance. One continuous piece of performance has been separated into distinct divisions and a repertoire created and expanded. In keeping with Odisse's devotional roots, most of the items are put into dance to express this devotional essence. The bhav is chaste and pure. While Odissi has its own distinct system of music, which is sweet, melodious and classical. The language of the songs is Sanskrit or Oriya. It is the only classical dance where the dance and music go by the same name, Odissi. During the next 2 decades, the technique and repertoire of Odissi were fully reconstructed, and the art was not only accepted as a classical style, but also hailed as one of the nation's most lyrical, graceful and stirring dance forms. Well, that was Odissi, the dance divine and its tradition. Well, the program was presented by Dr. Rajneesh Prasad Mishra, edited by Rashi Kumar and produced at Gyanvani, Allahabad. Well, we hope you did enjoy the show, and you are more than welcome to send your most awaited response. Our address is Station Manager, Gyanvani, Nehru Science Center, Kamla Nehru Road, Allahabad 211002. Well, that was all for now. Rashi takes your leave, saying a loving goodbye to you all. You stay tuned and continue listening to Gyanvani 107.4 FM.
Gyanvani. Round the clock, learning's a home. You get the education for all. Gyanvani, Gyanvani, education at your door.